Hi everyone, David Aragona here, taking a look at one of four graded stakes races on Saturday at Aqueduct. It's actually the one that kicks off that quartet of graded stakes action. The Grade 3 Go For Wand going as race 7 at Aqueduct. This one's for the fillies and mares going the one-turn mile on the main track. Let's throw up the field for this race, and it's a pretty interesting affair. We've got some stretch outs. Actually, the defending champion in this race from last year, that's the number 7 Sharp Star. But the horse that I think is going to be the clear-cut favorite, who I made the 8-5 choice on the morning line, is the number 2 Lady Rocket for Brad Cox. She is one of those stretch outs, having never tried this 1 mile distance in her career, but she is coming in with some of the top speed figures. But there are other good runners in this field. Delaware Handicap winner Miss Marissa's in the mix. Truth Hurts is coming off a nice stakes victory. So many ways to go in this 7-horse field. Let's take a look at the Timeform US pace projector before we get into some of the major contenders. And the 2 horses down towards the inside figure to vie for early supremacy. The number 1, Miss Marissa, given the fact that she's drawn the rail, I think that her rider, Jose Lezcano, does have to be aggressive. She is a horse who has done her best running when she's forwardly placed. She went gate to wire in her victories in the Black Eyed Susan and the Delaware Handicap, so I do think they'll be aggressive here, but she is cutting back in distance, so we'll see if a faster pace going this one-turn mile distance works for her. Lady Rocket, I think, having drawn outside of Miss Marissa, is just perfect for her because she's got a more versatile style, and Arad Ortiz should have some options. We'll see if they hook up on the front end, create some pace ahead of them, because horses like the number 4, the 5, both long shots in this field, they're going to need some pace to get involved in this race. Let's take a look at the last race of that favorite, Lady Rocket, when she won a division of the Pumpkin Pie Stakes at Belmont. As you can see, the track was sloppy on this day, and she clearly had no trouble handling the wet going. And Lady Rocket, she's just been in great form during her 4-year-old season for Brad Cox. She's won 3 of her last 4 starts, and while it does get kind of close at the end of this race here, the runner-up Glass Ceiling has really gotten into good form as of late, so not a disgrace that Lady Rocket was just able to beat that rival by a head. The 3rd place finisher in this race, Lake Avenue, she's multiple graded stakes place, actually was, I believe, 2nd in the Grade 1 Ballerina behind Gamine a little bit earlier in the year. So Lady Rocket, she's got those class lines coming in here, and you can see from those Timeform US speed figures, she's just been steadily improving over a period of months for Brad Cox. Ran that 113 back in the spring, but she's backed up that form recently, running that 118 behind Bella Sofia 2 back, and then that nice victory in the Pumpkin Pie last time. She is the horse to beat in this race, but like I said at the top, she's got to handle that extra furlong here, stretching out to the one-turn mile, and she's by tail of the cat. Not a ton of stamina pedigree on the bottom side, so kind of mixed signals from the pedigree, not a ton of evidence there to suggest that she's supposed to handle the added ground, but she is definitely the one to beat in this race. Her main rival could be the inside horse, Miss Marissa, if that one shows up with her best race, and she did show up with one of her best efforts back in the summer. Let's take a look at Miss Marissa's victory in the Delaware Handicap back from the middle of July. Miss Marissa did get everything going her own way in this race, got to set a moderate pace, going the 1.25 mile distance. She's clearly a horse that relishes added ground, going 2 turns, and she had all of that working in her favor here, but she showed up, and Miss Marissa, throughout her entire career, she's just been an overachiever for trainer James Ryerson. She upset the Black Eyed Susan over Bonnie South last year. She beat that same rival in the Delaware Handicap, though Bonnie South clearly did not show up with her best effort that day. Since that 115 Timeform US speed figure when she won that Delaware Handicap, it's been sort of a mixed bag for Miss Marissa. No real disgrace that she lost to Latruska at Saratoga because she got cooked in that fast pace that day. You can see those red color-coded pace figures 3 back for her, but she rebounded nicely in the Beldame last time, grabbing 3rd place behind the very good Royal Flag, who just missed in the Breeders' Cup Distaff off that. But it's the last race for Miss Marissa that's a bit troubling because she just didn't show up at all in the Turn Back the Alarm. You could see she got bet down to be the 2-5 favorite that day, and she just took a little bit of pressure on the front end from the eventual winner, Gibberish, and just folded pretty readily around the 3/8 pole. So I don't know what to make of that performance. That was going 1 turn, and she's going to turn all the way back to go a 1-turn mile here. As I said, I do think she's a little bit better when she gets the 2-turn races with a bit more of a moderate pace. So we'll see how it shakes out from a pace standpoint and if she can bounce back here. But on her best day, Miss Marissa is a real rival to the favorite here. Another horse that I want to mention that's coming out of a race at Belmont is Truth Hurts. She won the other division of the Pumpkin Pie, but as you can see, she only got an 83 buyer for that performance, as we take a look at her DRF formulator PPs here. But you see I drew that little bit, that X over her first call position in that race. There's a chart error in that race that I hope is going to be corrected soon. I actually alerted some people at Equibase about it. She was not fourth at the early going of that pumpkin pie. That's a bit of an error. I think she was misidentified in the early going. She actually broke slowly in that race, was all the way back, sharing 6th or 7th early, about 6 or 7 lengths off the pace. And I do think it's worth pointing that out because the opening quarter of that pumpkin pie was on the quick side. That was a race that did fall apart and it featured a faster pace than the other division of the pumpkin pie. So I do think that Truth Hurts got the pace situation that really worked in her favor last time. Don't really mind her stretching out to the mile, but I just feel like from a speed figure standpoint, she's a cut below some of the others. She's also achieved her recent victories over sloppy tracks, and we're likely to have a much faster track on Saturday at Aqueduct. So she was not really for me. A couple of horses that I was more interested in. One of those is Sharp Star, who is coming out of the victory at Belmont, again over a wet track in the Empire Distaff. Let's take a look at her victory that day. And this was a real reawakening for Sharp Star because she had been off form for a long time. We'll take a look at her PPs in a second, but she really showed up this day. She was far back in the early going. They changed up her running style from in her return in Saratoga when she showed a lot more speed. This day, Jose Ortiz just ripped her back off the pace in last place early, but she made a big move coming around the far turn, got to the lead at the top of the stretch and drew away late, got a solid 92 buyer for this performance. Was it the wet track that woke her up? I mean, it could be. She's won 3 stakes in her career, and you'll note that all 3 of those victories, including her win in the Go For Wand last year, came over sloppy or muddy sealed track. So maybe that's just the kind of going that she likes. But do note, she won over a fast track with the top buyer speed figure of her career at Aqueduct last year, going the same 1 mile distance. She got a 101 buyer that day when she beat New York Bet Allowance Company by almost 16 lengths. So the good version of Sharp Star, clearly good enough to take down this Go For Wand once again. It's just a matter of, is she suddenly getting good again come the winter of 2021 like she did in the fall and winter of 2020? Or was that last race a bit of a fluke? She's not the easiest horse to trust, and it's hard to know what kind of running style she's going to employ on this day, but she's definitely a dangerous horse in here if she shows up with one of her good efforts. Horse that I think is pretty intriguing is the number 3 Bella Vita. And let's take a look at her PPs in Timeform US. Some things I want to note about Bella Vita is she has run some competitive speed figures in the past, not always in winning performances. You'll notice she got that 1:15 Timeform US speed figure down at the bottom of these PPs when she was second in a dead heat behind the very good Private Mission of Bob Baffert trainee. After that, she faced Gamine. She got involved in a pretty tough pace situation on July 29th. I liked her victory 3 back at Del Mar when she came from off the pace going 6.5 furlongs. And I like that they're being a little bit less aggressive with her recently because it's really improved her finish in some of these shorter races. And that was the case last time when she won the Betty Grable Stakes at Del Mar. Let's take a look at the stretch run of that race. And I really like the way she finishes off this performance because you saw in the Timeform US pace figures for that race, all of the figures were color-coded blue. This was a very slow pace. She was a little bit off it coming around the far turn, but she really burst through to take the lead at the top of the stretch, and she is really finishing, just sprinting through the stretch. The final furlong of this race went in sub 12 seconds, and she kind of wins geared down at the end of this race. So it just feels like Bella Vita is a horse that's in really good form right now for trainer Simon Callahan. And Simon Callahan doesn't ship to New York that often, but I do want to take a look at some statistics that apply to him as he does bring this filly east. Coming off wins, as we take a look at this DRF formulator fact, with last out winners over the past 5 years in graded stakes on the dirt, Simon Callahan is a strong 12 for 38, 32% win rate with a positive $2.40 ROI and a $2 win wager. Those are some strong numbers in graded stakes races. A lot of trainers have trouble winning any graded stakes, but Simon Callahan seems to do well when his horses are moving up in good form. So I do think Bella Vita is pretty interesting, and that's a good transition to throw out my picks for this race. And I'm going to make Bella Vita my top selection in here. I pegged her at 5-1 in the morning line. I'm hoping I get around that price because she does have to really improve on some of her recent form. She's stepping up to face tougher company here, but I just think that she's a horse that's coming into this race in really good form for a dangerous barn in a spot where I just don't really trust a lot of other horses trying things for the first time. She is stretching out in distance like the favorite Lady Rocket, but whereas you have to take a short price on Lady Rocket, I think you're going to get a decent price on Bella Vita. So I put her her on top. I've got the number 7 Sharp Star in second. Don't totally trust her, but I do respect her good races when she does run them. And then I've got the favorite Lady Rocket in third. So that's a look at the grade 3 Go For Wand on Saturday at Aqueduct. Good luck if you're playing this weekend.